Good morning, everybody. As promised yesterday in the chat, this next video is to do with the fact that Michael Bell Sr. and family have taken the huge step of putting in a large advert in the New York Times highlighting the corruption in Wisconsin regarding the Kenosha Police Department's shooting of his son Michael Bell back in 2004. As I say, I have touched on this a few times, and I noticed one or two people asking about the book. As far as I know, there isn't a book presenting the facts, but as we'll discover, yes, that there is another book, but I certainly wouldn't go wasting any money on buying it. Because it's going to be full of absolute garbage from the police officer's point of view. It's just a huge cover-up. It's a huge, we did something wrong, but we don't want to apologize. We don't want to say sorry, because where there's a blame, there's a claim. Typically, it's one rule for everybody, one rule for us, the police, it's one rule for everybody else. So I've got some stuff to share with you. Where to begin? Obviously, I've been in contact with Michael Bell Sr., who sent me some interesting things. As I say, not least this, let's start here with this picture. I say Michael Bell was shot by police following what appeared to be just a routine stop. Michael Bell stopped outside his house, got out as the police were, trying to apprehend him. For whatever reason, we don't know. That there was no drugs or guns in the car. And for some reason, he ignored what they were telling him to do, to stop, and he just carried on walking to the house. And obviously, they must have taken exception to this. Tried to apprehended him. One officer got behind him, pressed him against the bonnet. The other officer, as the pictures show, was misled into thinking that Michael Bell had grabbed hold of his gun, which was in his holster, because he caught it on the wing mirror, and immediately the other officer ordered the third officer to shoot him, to take him out, as it were, which he promptly did. And then the whole cover-up begins, the whole corruption begins. And Michael Bell Sr., well, Michael Bell and family, his family, have been trying to get just an admittance that they got it wrong. That there was clearly no need to shoot Michael Bell, but once they'd done it, to at least accept responsibility for the fact that they had done it, that it had been a simple mistake. But no, what do? They dig themselves into an even bigger hole. And what's the first rule of holes? When you're in one, stop digging. But no. So Michael Bell Sr. is taking this all the way as far as he can. So a history of corruption, how Kenosha PD killed Michael Bell. Now, this is the letter that Michael Bell Sr. wrote to Governor Evers. Governor Evers, Wisconsin State Capital, Madison, Wisconsin. Dear Governor Evers, Tony Evers, yep. I am providing you a powerful point-by-point summary showing that the Wisconsin Department of Justice is complacent in investigating a Kenosha police officer execution, gun placed directly to 21-year-old Michael Bell's temple, and the subsequent cover-up. This is the same type of complacency that the SEC demonstrated in the Bernie Madoff Ponzi scheme, and the US Gymnastics Association demonstrated with complaints reported against Dr. Larry Nassar. As per guidance published by the Wisconsin's Department of Justice. I am filing this complaint for agency misconduct with our governor. It concerns Attorney General Josh Kaul and the Wisconsin Department of Justice. Specifically, the complaint alleges: 1. A crime lab DNA analyst provided fallacious DNA findings to a prosecutor in John Doe proceedings in a police shooting. After 10 documented attempts, which includes requests by legislator, AG Kaul refuses to meet or acknowledge Michael M. Bell regarding newly developed evidence in a police shooting. See October 2021 FBI point-by-point summary attached. 3, due to Attorney General neglect. 2, DOJ investigations remain open years later. And the Kenosha Police Department officer planted a bullet and driver's license at the homicide scene, and 2 Kenosha city officials gaining illegal access into police files and the destruction of digital public records. This complaint details the totally unacceptable behavior of Attorney General Josh Kaul and his agency. The 706-page complaint is provided in the attached memory drive. Respectfully, Michael M. Bell. So he's a retired Lieutenant Colonel of the US Air Force. And just in case you didn't know who we were talking about, obviously Tony Evers and the new, fairly recent Attorney General, Josh Kaul. But of course, he's the son of Peg Leixelager, who was the Attorney General in 2004 when Michael Bell was shot. The same one that said that there was, there was nobody really to fault that Stephen Avery spent 18 years in prison. As I've mentioned before, Leixelager was followed by J.B. Van Hollen, who was the Attorney General during the Ken Kratz sexting scandal, to then be replaced by Brad Schimmel. And obviously Brad Schimmel has since been replaced by Josh Kaul. So here is the other PDF. These are what are going in the New York Times. This is the information that people are going to get in the New York Times. The investigation was completed in just 2 days, and the Kenosha Police Department found its shooting justified. Officers testified under oath that Police Officer Gonzalez was on the left of Michael, as shown in the picture here, and shot Michael in the left side of his head. This remained the Kenosha Police Department position until they discovered otherwise at the 2007 video depositions that the medical examiners concluded Michael was shot in the right side of his head. After the first set of depositions, the Kenosha Police Department developed a new shooting scenario to attempt to explain the contrary evidence. They changed the story to state that Michael's body and head were twisted in an awkward position, so the right side of Michael's head was presented to Gonzalez, who still claimed to be on Michael's left. The county's forensic pathologist, these forensic pathologists, a lot of them are really quite good, aren't they? You know, they don't put up with any nonsense. Concluded that the officers' reenacted account of the shooting was forensically impossible and could not have occurred as the officers claim. Wisconsin Attorney General Brad Schimmel wrote the following in a public statement in December 2017. It is very likely that the officer was mistaken in his belief that Michael Bell was trying to take his gun, and that the officers at best were mistaken of the facts. At worst, they lied. Oh, they clearly lied. The Kenosha Police Department hired a prominent 3D animator to create an animation of this new scenario. The Kenosha Police Department concealed the existence of this 3D animator. His existence was discovered years later by the Bell investigative team. To assist the 3D animator in his work, the Kenosha Police Department conducted a reenactment of their new shooting scenario. This reenactment was held in an empty warehouse. The Kenosha KPD provided one video of reenactment to Bell's civil attorneys. The animator could not successfully create an animation because the new version was anatomically impossible to depict the human movement of the new account. So the KPD fired him and concealed his work. Police officer Strasbourg testified that Michael attempted to disarm him and there was a fierce life and death struggle over his service weapon. Yet none of Michael's DNA was found on Strasbourg's handgun. And the interesting thing is the fact that Michael even had scratches on his hand. Through open record requests, the KPD failed to release an autopsy photo showing 2 cuts on Michael's right hand. Photo was discovered by a records request to the Kenosha County Medical Examiner. Academic research confirms that the likelihood of shedding DNA with open or healing flesh wounds is near 100%. Surprisingly, the Kenosha Police Department claims it does not possess their original native dash cam recording. Independent of the Kenosha Police Department, Bell obtained an original native copy of a dash cam recording. The native dash cam is longer than the AVI version the KBT gave to attorneys. At the end of this AVI version, an officer says, "Gonzo, Gonzo, shoot him." Another officer asks, "What happened?" The video abruptly ends. On October 17th, 2019, a video recorded scan of the garage face was conducted and the suspected bullet impact location was discovered at a location camouflaged by its height and a parked car's proximity. In a controlled test by one of the nation's leading ballistics experts, Michael G. Haag, we've come across that name before, Haag, haven't we? Found the element lead in the cavity. No other lead was found at multiple test locations of flashing material. After 17 years, the Kenosha Police Department refuses to release the slug for additional valuation. In September 2021, Mr. Bell's attorney filed an action seeking a court order requiring the Kenosha Police Department to release the bullet slug to Mr. Haag. Crime scene photos show fired bullet slugs final rest in 2 separate locations. Gonzalez answered that he did not know or did not remember dozens of times during his testimony. Years later, he published a book in which he describes the shooting in detail. Dear, oh dear, it really is ridiculous. And for me, what really bugs me is it's, as I say, this idea that, you know, we can just make up any story we want. You know, there are no repercussions. We can just do that. The Attorney General, whoever, they will cover for us. They'll vouch for us. But I did come across this that I would like to share with you. I need to go here first. I need to go here and I need to redo this bit of it. I need to click on that. Yes, there we go. Your right to know, raise the bar on police transparency. Just a very short article by this fella here. Reading time 3 minutes. I bet I take more than 3 minutes. Recently, the National Freedom of Information Coalition and the Breckner Center for Freedom of Information issued a statement calling for greater transparency and accountability from law enforcement. They were joined by more than 50 groups, including the Wisconsin Freedom of Information Council, Wisconsin Newspaper Association, and the Wisconsin Transparency Project. Trust is a key element in police-citizen relationships. Secrecy is the enemy of trust. The statement noted. Effective oversight of law enforcement requires meaningfully improving the flow of information to the public, both as a matter of law and as a matter of culture. The police killings of George Floyd, Rayshard Brooks, and Breonna Taylor, among others, as well as video footage of police using excessive force in dealing with protesters, have underscored the need for changes in policing, including greater access to disciplinary records. It is time to break down some of the barriers that prevent the public from getting a full and true picture of how police perform, sometimes laudable, but sometimes not, and how government agencies respond to allegations of misconduct. Wisconsin, according to one survey, is among just 12 states in the nation in which records of police disciplinary investigations are generally available to the public, but there are still opportunities for improvement. For one thing, the law builds unnecessary delays into the process. I'm sure there's a few Making a Murderer researchers that would agree with that, to afford police officers, like all public employees, an opportunity to sue to block the release of disciplinary records. It also enables departments to deny access to records while an investigation is pending, in the absence of any proof that secrecy makes the process work better. Earlier this year, the legislature passed, and Governor Tony Evers signed into law a bill regarding the use of police body cameras. While it does a good job of balancing the public's right to know against legitimate privacy interests, it still allows police agencies to withhold video of ongoing investigations, something that doesn't happen with video taken by onlookers and not police. And that's quite interesting, isn't it? You know, it means in some cases the public can only see the video that it's not paying for. Yeah, exactly. The National Freedom of Information Centre and Breckner Centre argue that every aspect of the police misconduct oversight process should be open to public scrutiny. Only by seeing the substance of each complaint, how it is resolved, and what consequences are imposed, can the public trust that justice is being dispensed without favour. The statement says, we understand the difficult challenge police officers face each day in their work. While they have a unique position in our communities, they are still public employees, but with extraordinary power to use deadly force, to search private homes, and to detain and arrest. Thus, we should insist on maximum transparency. Yes, there are times when police draw complaints that are unfounded and unfair, but the public should have a right to see even these, with the exception that ordinary people can make rational judgments about their nature and how they are addressed. We should not have to trust the police to police themselves. Trust will come only when we are allowed to see inside the process. Very, very well written. Totally agree. Next, I wanted to I say I've had a few conversations on Messenger with Michael Bell Senior. I have invited him on. He said, look, I've got to focus on other things at the moment, but he's very keen on people within the Making a Murderer community to spread the word about you know, this case. Obviously, what particularly interests us is the fact that we're returning the screw slowly but surely on Josh Kaul, Governor Evers, from various different angles, whether it be Brendan Dassey, Michael Bell, you know, the Michael Funk case over there at Nina, Eagle Nation Cycles. So here is, if I can get it to come up, I'll need to go here. Yep. Okay, and I'll try something else. Just bear with me. Yes. Okay, dokie. Let's see if I can get that to come up now. Good. there we have billboard in Kenosha. Michael Bell Sr. sent me these pictures of the billboards in Kenosha. I, in return, sent him some of our photos and told him that, you know, Eric Ose, 3 years ago, had looked and was very interested in the Michael Bell case. So there's, as I say, these are all in Kenosha. On billboards, and they are within 2 blocks of the courthouse. Some of the, I think 2 of them are within 2 blocks of the courthouse where the Kyle Rittenhouse case is taking place. So anyway, I say apologies. I might have acted a bit vague, not realizing about the book. As I say, it's the book that was written by the police officer that couldn't remember anything about it when he's being asked, but then when he decides to write a book, he can remember everything about it. Doesn't that remind us of Manitowoc Sheriff's Department? Anyway, I think that's all I wanted to share for now. So if you get the New York Times, you'll be seeing that as an advert fairly soon. I think we're talking about Wednesday. Anyway, catch you all soon. Take care. Bye for now.